taxbuyers.net, and this is our segment, People You Should Know. And today's special guest is Brett Swart from Capital Gains Tax Solutions. And I'm really excited to talk to Brett because I don't know anything about what he does. A friend of mine said, hey, Jillian, you got to talk to this guy, Brett. If you have clients who need to save money on taxes, this is the go-to guy. So welcome, Brett. How are you today?
Jillian, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure because I feel like you're going to offer this amazing solution to those people who feel like they're stuck doing a 1031 exchange or stuck paying capital gains. So tell us about what it is. What's the solution you offer?
Sure. It's called a deferred sales trust. And Jillian, most entrepreneurs, commercial real estate owners, or just high net worth individuals, they struggle with capital gains tax, somewhere between 30 and 50% of their gain when they go to sell their commercial real estate, business, or high-end primary home, or other collectibles and artwork. And we use this deferred sales trust, which is just an installment sale, to give them tax deferral, liquidity, diversification. And the best thing I think for your listeners is the ability to invest back into a business or commercial real estate at, we call optimal timing, meaning anytime. So we literally eliminate the need for the 1031 exchange, and we give more options. So what? So that they can create and preserve more wealth. And if it's a business professional listening to this podcast, so that they can grow their business by adding massive amounts of value to their high net worth clients.
Wait, explain, what do you mean by that? If they own a business, they can offer value to their high net worth clients. Tell me what you mean by that.
Yeah, so the business professional aspect is if you're a business broker, if you're a crowdfunding company, if you're a commercial real estate syndicator, if you're a financial advisor, if you're a high-end luxury realtor, you have high net worth clients who are looking for services and solutions to this capital gains tax. In fact, to give you a stat behind that, according to the American Bankers Association, there's about $17 trillion that will pass from one generation to the next in the next 20 years. And this is known as the baby boomers. And it's the largest wealth transfer in the history of the world by the second largest population generation in the history of the world that we know of. About 77 million baby boomers live in the US alone, and there's about 10,000 baby boomers every day turning 65. And so this is the huge challenge, and they're feeling trapped by the capital gains tax. They're feeling overwhelmed by, if I sell, I'm going to get hammered. So the business professional can come in once they understand the deferred sales trust and they're empowered with it. They can offer this as a solution to their clients' challenges. In fact, we have thousands of professionals across the US, including CPAs, tax attorneys, commercial real estate syndicators, QI companies, insurance professionals, all with the focus of providing this education. So that's really our focus, is education and empowerment with the strategy.
Okay, so let's back up for a second here. How is this different than a Delaware statutory trust? How do you set this up?
Sure. Let's talk about some of the options and some of the pros and cons between this, the Delaware statutory trust, and the 1031 exchange, if that's okay. Sure. So what are the options? So a seller right now who's selling a business, or a primary home, basically they have no 1031 option. They can only really do some form of an installment sale or some form of a traditional seller carryback, but they can also do the deferred sales trust. The other option is just don't sell at all, which is where most people come in. They just say, they look at it, and not most, but a lot, will just say, forget about it. I'm not even going to sell. It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to give half of it away to the government. I might as well keep it, hold on to it, continue to run it, and give it to my kids with a stepped-up basis once I pass away. The second option is a 1031 exchange, but that's been very limited here. It really only applies to investment property, like-kind property, which is really commercial real estate, okay? But even that, a lot of the syndicators we work with, they don't even allow 1031s into their deals. In fact, a lot of them just say, come to me with new money, bring in the new money, and then when I sell, everyone pay their own tax, and we'll go do the next one. The deferred sales trust is the solution for that. We literally can defer taxes on each individual's portion for their interest in the deal and or business without having to do a 1031 exchange, and also completely separate from the entity itself. So there's a 1031 exchange. There's the Delaware statutory trust, which is just a form of a 1031 exchange. In fact, it's just an interest into, it's sort of like a tenant in common that maybe some of your clients might know about, essentially there's a big company that's buying a property or a couple properties, and you are exchanging 1031 exchanges into this Delaware, and therefore you're deferring tax there too. But again, it's very limited, and typically you're also not liquid, not diversified, and you're with that one particular property or deal. So some of our clients like a little more diversification, a little more liquidity. And what does that mean? Well, with the deferred sales trust, it doesn't have to go into like-kind property. In fact, it can go into stocks, bonds, and mutual funds if you're choosing. You also don't have to replace any debt. Okay, part of the biggest challenges with the 1031 exchange is you have to buy equal or greater value within a short period of time.
Right.
Which creates a sense of feeling trapped or urgent or overpaying oftentimes. My background is one, I came from Marcus and Millichap back in 2006 as a commercial real estate broker, and I still am a commercial real estate broker in Northern California, and I focused on multifamily properties. And the biggest challenge is we kept having clients saying, I'd love to buy a property, but I don't want to overpay. Or I'd love to buy a property, but I don't want to get stuck in a timeline where it fails. And so the deferred sales trust is an alternative to that. We don't have to replace equal or greater value. We don't have to put it in like-kind property. We also don't have to take on any more debt. And actually, we distinguish the debt. So it's a debt-free plan. It's a diversified plan. It's a liquid plan. I can get out of it whenever I want and pay the tax. And I don't have to overpay for property. So we think all of these things give such a significant advantage over the 1031 exchange that simply for a lot of people in this highly appreciated market, they don't want to overpay for a property and take on more debt or equal debt. And then when the music stops, they're caught in a tough spot.
Sure. No, I mean, I think this is pretty timely, right? Because we're at the top of the market. So we're seeing a lot of people sell things right now. And there's a lot of talk about the economy, taking a nosedive and things of that nature. So what do you think, what do you think the future holds? Take out your crystal ball. What do you think the future holds? And when should people be prepared to call you to help them with this solution?
Absolutely. Thanks. Good question. So as far as where we're at in the economic cycle, I think we're at a 12-year bull run now, and things have really done very well the last few years. Here's what I do know, and here's what I tell a lot of my clients. It's a great time to sell. Right now is a great time to sell. It's not a good time to buy, okay? But it's a great time to sell. Therefore, it's also a great time to get out of debt. It's a great time to get diversified, to get liquid, to get your cash on the sidelines and wait in case this thing turns. And if it turns, you can buy at a discount. By the way, we had a client exactly do this. In 2006, 2005, he saw the writing on the wall. He got out. But the beauty is he went into the deferred sales trust, and he paid off all of his debt, and he put it into conservative allocation. 5 years later, that same property, and this was like a $40 million deal in Minnesota, that same property that he sold was foreclosed on. And he bought it back through his trust, all tax deferred, at 60 cents on the dollar. So that's the Monday morning quarterback. But you can actually do it now. You can literally sell right now, sit on the sidelines, diversified, liquid, debt-free from your assets, and just wait till the opportunity comes up. By the way, that may be tomorrow, that may be day 181, that may be a couple years from now. We don't know for sure. But we always start with what the client's trying to do. What are they trying to achieve? The other part about that demographic, 10 years ago, 11 years ago was 2008. They're now 11 years older, and they have different needs. And honestly, a lot of my clients, they've made their wealth. They don't need any more wealth. They need to preserve it. They need to defer the tax, but they don't need to create any more necessarily for the folks who are the baby boomers. But they got to figure out how to pass it, which leads me to the next thing that's really unique about the deferred sales trust. It actually we can move funds outside the taxable estate. And this might be the single best reason why to consider this over the 1031. So the 1031 exchange maintains the stepped up basis, meaning if any of your clients were to hold a piece of property, pass away, it passes in their estate, their kids get a stepped up basis, which means their kids could sell and walk away capital gains tax free as long as there's no additional appreciation from the time they inherited the estate and sold. Now, that being said, that doesn't account for the estate tax, or better known as the death tax, or if anything that's above $22 million for a married couple or above $11 million for a single couple, it's going to be hit with a 40% death tax. It's really a brutal one, okay? So with the deferred sales trust, we can move all of the funds outside of the taxable estate in one single transaction. So for example, most people, let's say someone was worth $52 million and $22 million was exempt. That $30 million, let's imagine it's still inside the taxable estate. Let's imagine they had a $30 million apartment complex or a business or whatever. They could sell, and in one transaction and one closing, move it all outside the taxable estate. The biggest challenge for most people who are trying to do estate planning is they're moving small amounts incrementally, and they run out of basically what they can do the gifting for their kids. And so it's a really tough spot. So we can do it all one transaction. We just helped that same gentleman who did the Minnesota deal a few years back. He put $80 million outside of his taxable estate when he sold a commercial real estate deal here recently, which is, we think, the best way to keep the money in our own families, our own communities, versus giving to the government and it's gone forever.
Versus giving to the government. So my concern is, are there any rules? Are there any boogeymen in the closet that we don't know about in doing this?
Yes, Jillian, the first question I had 10 years ago when I learned about this at Marcus and Millichap was, this seems like it's too good to be true. It seems like it's illegal. Like, how is this legal? It seems like I would have known about this.
I know.
It seems like everybody would have told me about this. And literally, I sat there with about 30 colleagues, and this is in Sacramento. My manager at the time brought in the speaker, who's now my business partner, who, by the way, is down in Indian Wells, his office, in Dana Point, in Southern California. And he's a financial advisor by trade. His name's Robert Binkley. And he spoke about this strategy to us. And we sat there, and a couple of us learned about it. A couple of us poked the bear and started to see how could this help us and how could it help our clients. And it was a journey of about 10 years of studying. I have my Series 2263. But the main questions, if I'm in your shoes, and that I ask, and that every single person who's listening to this should ask of any new tax or strategy, is the first thing is, what's the IRC tax code? And the answer is it's IRC 453. What's that? Well, that's seller carryback. That's known. It's very well known. If you don't know it, your CPA knows it. It's tried and true tax law. It goes back to the 1920s. The second question is, well, how long have you guys been doing this particular installment sale, this particular deferred sales trust, which is just a specialized installment sale? Well, the answer is 23 years. The next question is, well, how many of you closed? Close to 3,000 of these trusts. The next one is, well, how many of these have been audited? The answer is there's been 14 audits and 2 formal audits. The 14 audits were just random audits for clients, not because the trust triggered it, but there happened to be high net worth individuals. The largest deal was for a Southern California $100 million commercial real estate deal that was audited on the trust. All of those were no change audits, not one single issue. There was 2 formal audits, one in 2008 and one in 2019 earlier, which actually just, the business is growing so much, and we're getting more and more notoriety. So with that, they're saying, let me talk to the tax attorney. Let me sit down and walk through the structure. Make sure there's no trap doors, is what we like to call it. And that's exactly what the IRS said. We just want to make sure there's no trap doors here, and you guys are actually doing this legally, and the customer client is not going to get hurt here. And same thing, no change, not one single issue. So we're batting 1,000 there. The next question you should ask, well, is the attorney going to stand behind his work? And absolutely. We have the attorneys who create the structure. They're called Campbell Law Firm. Okay. They stand behind their work, and they also provide audit defense for the life of the trust. So I'm going to pause there because you might have some questions, and I know I'm talking a lot.
No, that's awesome. I was just going to let you keep going because it's, I always tell my clients, I don't know anything about taxes. You should not ask me anything about taxes. I just know we all don't really want to pay them. So
100%, right? We define losing as paying the tax because it's gone forever and the government's going to waste it away. We define winning as keeping it within our estates, within our families, within our community, so we can give more, right? Mm-hmm. And we're really at the heart of what we're about is giving people back not just equity or wealth, but it's giving back their time. Like, for example, we help business owners who want to sell today and retire at 45 while they have young kids and they want to spend time with their family and travel the world versus waiting till they're 60 and netting the same price. So I'll give you an example. A gentleman, he's out of Stockton. He's selling a veterinarian business. He has a zero basis. It's the American dream. He literally came over from India, he and his 3 friends, and they built up these multiple practices. And they're selling now. They have zero debt, zero basis. If he sells today without the deferred sales trust, he's going to net $3 million. which is maybe not quite enough of where he's at. But with the deferred sales trust, it's going to be 4.5 in the trust. So he told me this. He goes, Brett, you're not just giving me wealth back, you're giving me time back. Because in order to get 4.5, I would have to have waited so maybe about a $6 million valuation, which could take me 5 or 10 more years, which the economy could shift at that point, which means I'm not maybe selling at optimal time. There's a lot of ifs, but right now I can sell and get out. And that gives him back time with his family, right? It gives him back opportunity to do what he wants to do, either hobbies or give back more. So that's at the heart of what we're about, is just empowering people to not have to feel trapped by capital gains tax and depreciation recapture.
Sure. Okay. So there's a lot more questions I could have for you in terms of like where this could go, how far this could go, what we could do with it. But I got to wrap it up because we're only supposed to be 17 minutes long. Okay. And I always ask my interviewees a question at the end. And that question is, if you had any book you could recommend to the listeners and watchers here, what would it be?
Yeah, the one that I've circled back with a couple times now that I just reread, it's called Crucial Conversations. It came out maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. And if you haven't read that book yet, you should read it. And if you've already read it, you should read it again. And the reason why is it's such a timely and I think timeless way to make sure you're communicating in a way that people feel safe and they feel like their ideas can be shared. And especially in today's environment with everything that's going on, it's even more crucial to make sure when you're communicating, you're doing it in a way that's going to open people up and make sure there's dialogue versus it being, conflict. So personally, I got in an argument with my brother, and we were like best friends. He's my best man, and we haven't argued since high school. And all of a sudden we got in this argument, and I was using all the things that the book told me not to do, right? And I'm like, I wish I would have. So I written back and reread the book. And I'm going, I should have been, rereading that book and looking at those tools for good, healthy dialogue. And it would have saved me a lot of stress. We've made up since, and everything's good, but it took a lot of stress and a lot of work to make up, right?
Oh my God, that is such a great. I'm going to write that down. Crucial conversations. We're going to put that on our list of rockstar reads. That is such a great suggestion. I think so many people. On this show recommend things that will build more wealth or build your business, and that book to me sounds like it's not just about building your business, but building, having the right communication in your life so that everything can kind of fall into place. It's such an important book. I'm definitely going to read that one myself. I haven't, so
do it. You're going to love it. You won't regret it. You'll love it.
One that I haven't read. So where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you if they're interested in doing this? Because I know I'm going to get in touch with you. I had a property that I sold, and I probably should have called you before I sold it. But for the future, where can we call you?
Yeah, so 916-886-2986 is the direct line, and we're out of Sacramento, California, 916-886-2986. But they can just go to my website, capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We have the Facebook, the YouTube channel, Bigger Pockets, LinkedIn. You can also just search capitalgainstaxsolutions.com or search Brett Swartz, and it'll pop up there. And then you can schedule a no cost, no obligation consultation call. By the way, if you have a live deal, talk to us sooner rather than later. Yeah. We can also save a failed 1031 exchange. But all that being said, the tax attorney who created the structure, the co-founder of the trust, and me, we don't charge anything unless and if the deal closes. So there's really no obligation, no pressure. We get everything ready to go.
That's a great deal.
What's that?
That's such a great deal. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how confident we are in the structure, and we also don't want to put any pressure on anybody to do the deal or not. Just talk to us, get to know us. You can also bring in your own financial advisor, honestly. And we want you to bring in your own CPA tax attorney to vet us. So we like to say, I'm just the nurse, Jillian, and I take your pulse. The brain surgeons are the CPA tax attorney folks. And so we want to make sure the client brings in their CPA tax attorneys before they get surgery, and they all talk, and we all talk, and we work as a team together to execute this strategy, again, so they can create and preserve more wealth and spend more time doing what they want to be doing.
Well, this has just been awesome. I'm so glad, our Charlie, our mutual friend, hooked us up together, because I'm telling you, I have so many clients who could use this service. So as a reminder to everybody, my special guest today was Brett Swart from Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and you can find him on the web at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. I'm Jillian Sidoti. This is our segment, People You Should Know, on crowdfundinglawyers.net. I'll see you guys. Oh, make sure, wait, I got to do something that my son taught me. Make sure if you like this video, you pound that like button and you hit subscribe.
And you share it with everyone you know.
And share it with everyone you know. Thank you. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Brett, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.